We're back.
We're back. Welcome back to The Hills Are Alive.
A movie musical. We're going to say it together.
A movie musical podcast where me, Alex.
And me, Kelsey.
Recap, review, recast all of your favorite movie musicals throughout history.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at The Hills Are Alive Pod. Our producer told us we need to get that out there because not everybody makes it to the end. Our 2-hour episode.
So, anyway.
How are you, Alex?
I'm doing good. We took a month off last month. February in the doldrums.
Yeah, even though it's only like 3 days shorter than most months, sometimes only 2. It just feels like February is always...
Blah. Yeah.
We had like 1 week where it rained every single day, and I don't have any memories of that week.
I don't really make new memories anymore.
Okay, so today we are talking about Funny Girl.
Funny Girl.
This is our 1960s episode.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who don't know, we're in season 2. And for season 2, we are doing a decade a month, basically.
Yeah.
So we've done the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And today we are doing the 60s with Funny Girl.
Came out in 1968. Highest grossing film of 68.
Got a lot of those.
We do, yeah. It winds up being that if you come out with a good musical, it's going to be the most successful, it seems. Barbra Streisand's debut feature-length film.
And she is great.
Yeah, she is.
We've got the beautiful, what's his name?
Omar
Sharif, yes.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Very handsome.
We'll get to recast later, but my recast for...
Wait, tell us later.
Okay, we'll get there. So the Broadway show actually opened in 64, but there was a screenplay that was written for it first. Basically, the real Fanny Brice's stepson was trying to commission an autobiography.
Right,
and
Ray Stark.
Ray Stark, yeah.
Yes, who's the producer of this movie.
Right.
By the way, I had no idea until after watching this that Fanny Brice was a real person.
Same. I went in to look at the Wikipedia or whatever, and it was like...
Wait, so you hadn't seen this either?
No.
I've never seen this one before.
I think her stepson, it was the son of her third husband, I believe, was trying to commission an autobiography, and that turned into a screenplay, and then that turned into a Broadway show that opened in 64 and ultimately became the movie in 68. And we find that a lot in the around this time, just the quick turnaround from the Broadway show right into the movie.
Yeah, and I think with a show like this, it's easy to turn into a movie.
Yeah.
Whereas with other shows, for example, Phantom of the Opera.
You wait for the technology to catch up to where it needs to be in order to put something like that together.
Yeah.
But even with Phantom, it was so much, like you said when we were talking about that show, it's part of the thing is of seeing it on stage is you're using your imagination about how things look or whatever. And so when you try to put that on screen, it can be a little...
jarring.
Yeah. So anyway, it ultimately became the stage show first, which, considering that it only took a few years to get it done, it had a really complicated road to getting made with some familiar names. Jerome Robbins. So
he was the stage choreographer?
He was the original director.
Oh, okay. Of the Broadway.
So, okay.
The movie director is William Wyler.
Right.
And then Herbert Ross, he directed the musical numbers. And he was another Broadway choreographer.
Right. So
but
I don't know.
Jerome, I don't think was involved with the movie.
I don't think he was involved in the movie. He was probably busy with West Side Story.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Ray Stark, he commissioned an authorized biography, and that was based on her taped recollections that she had dictated. But he didn't like it, so he had to pay $50,000 to stop the publication of it. It was called The Fabulous Fanny. So then he turned to Ben Hecht to write the screenplay for a biopic. But neither him or the other 10 writers were able to succeed in producing that. And then he finally got Isabelle Lenart, who submitted My Man, which pleased both Stark and Columbia Pictures and offered Stark $400,000. Plus a percentage of the gross sales for the property. But then, after reading the screenplay, sorry, this is kind of in-depth, but it's actually interesting. Mary Martin contacted Stark to be involved. She was like OG Maria on Broadway, I think, in Sound of Music.
Oh, I would not remember that. That was a long time ago.
Yes. So she actually wanted to be involved in like writing the music and stuff. And they asked, let's see, Stark discussed the possibility with the producer David Merrick, who suggested Jewel Stein and Stephen Sondheim to compose the score. But Sondheim didn't want to be involved because of Mary Martin, because she wasn't Jewish.
Okay.
He said, she's not Jewish. You need someone ethnic for the part. So shortly after, Mary Martin lost interest in the project and backed out. So Merrick discussed the project with Jerome Robbins, who gave the screenplay to Anne Bancroft of The Graduate fame. She agreed to play Bryce if she could handle this, like the singing of it. So Merrick suggested that Stein collaborate with someone else named Dorothy Fields. She wasn't interested. So Stein went to Palm Beach, Florida for a month to compose music that he thought that Anne Bancroft would be able to sing. So while he was there, he played 5 melodies for Bob Merrill, who had already written for him. Merrill agreed to write lyrics. They had 2 songs. They wrote 2 songs, which were Who Are You Now and The Music That Makes Me Dance, which I don't think ended up there in the stage show, but I don't think ended up in the movie. Sorry.
Now, these are so many. Like, these are so many names that we will never hear again.
I know. Except I know. Anyway, they were happy with those songs. They played it for Jerome Robbins, Ray Stark, and Anne Bancroft. But she had a personal conflict with the Merrill dude. But that when she listened to it, she says, "I want no part of this."
Oh my gosh, these are too many details.
So anyway, they decided that obviously that Fanny needed to be played by a Jewish actress, and they got Barbra Streisand involved. Anyway, it finally got produced. It premiered in Boston at the Schubert. The critics praised Streisand, but disliked the show. They made some tweaks, blah, blah, blah. It premiered in 1964. Sorry.
Are you just, reading Wikipedia right now?
No, I mean, I have, multiple sources. It's a very complicated history, as most of these things are. It's a very complicated history of how it actually got made, but usually Jerome Robbins and Stephen Sondheim are in there somewhere around this era.
Okay.
That's it on that.
Okay. All right. Well, taking off from there, the movie is obviously starring Barbra Streisand.
Uh-huh. I mean, it was before she was Barbra Streisand, you know what I mean?
Sure, but I mean, she was pretty famous still.
Yeah. As a vocalist, and, there's those old clips of her on, the Judy Garland show or whatever.
Yeah. I had read somewhere that she was already a member of the Motion Picture Academy. Mm-hmm. So when she did get nominated for an Oscar, she voted for herself.
Nice.
Yeah, which secured her a tie.
Wow.
Yeah, but we'll get to that later.
Okay. It was really funny to me how, obviously, the movie is set in... Pretty much the first part is, before World War I, and the second part is after World War I. But they don't really talk about the war at all.
I had a hard time realizing, what time period it was set in.
Because everyone else is, dressed for the era, but Barbra just looks like she's in the 60s.
Yeah, like very, very 60s.
Yeah, with her like
like pantsuits, kind
and, like,
of.
her beehive and and her like smoky winged liner. But also, like, for something that's supposed to be taking place like right around the war, they don't really make any mention of it, even when like Nicky is going to Europe and shit, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's true. I wasn't thinking about that. Because, they don't mention it.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why it's confusing.
Right.
As to what time period they're in.
Because what it says when I, like, was looking it up was that, like, the first part is before the war and the second part is after the war. But it seems like the story is, like, a continuous story. Like, there's not, like, a break or something in the storytelling, you know what I mean?
Well, there are quite a few time jumps.
Right, but they're mostly like 6 months or a year.
They very much clarify within the first couple lines how much time has passed.
Yeah, like very like...
I like it. I don't care if
I haven't seen you in how long? Oh, it's been 6 months.
Oh, well, you know what? I would say that to someone that I hadn't seen in 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's not unnatural.
Sure.
And I appreciate that they just get it out of the way. Yeah. Because, like, I don't know, I feel like I watch a lot of other movies and they don't explicitly state how much time has passed, and I have to, like, hunt for clues.
Right. I mean, every movie should just have those, like... those Les Mis things that just pop up and say the year and where it is.
Okay, but sometimes it does feel insulting.
Right.
Sometimes it is like...
So, like, have that much, what is it called, exposition?
Yeah.
How do I know you? How long has it been?
It's like if they show, like, a woman finding out she's pregnant, and then they flash forward 9 months and say 9 months later, and she has a baby. Like, yeah, I could tell.
Right. Uh-oh, a woman threw up. She must be pregnant.
Well, that or dying.
Right.
Always.
Well, if she coughs, she's dying. If she throws up, she's pregnant.
All right, so we better go ahead and jump in. It's already been way too long.
It has. Yeah. Oh, my God, 20 minutes. All right, yeah, let's go into a recap. So...
We're going to cut, like, all of that.
No. So it opens with a very long overture with just a black screen.
What? No, the one I watched had, like, Technicolor.
Well, yeah, it eventually gets there, but, like, the first, like, 5 minutes of the, or, like, was it 3 to 5 minutes of were, like, in black, and then the, like...
The movie, like, truly opens with her walking into the Ziegfeld Theater.
Yeah.
In that head-to-toe cheetah print that we mentioned earlier.
But I was going to mention the, like, in those first, like, title cards that it's, like, pictures, like old-timey pictures, but with this like psychedelic sort of like changing color thing happening.
Yeah.
Which brings us into the 60s, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, so she's at Ziegfeld Follies. She's walking into the theater with her name in lights. And she's sort of just like, you know, wandering around and taking it all in.
So she sits down in the seats. Emma comes in, asks what she's doing. Emma says, Mr. Ziegfeld wants to see you.
She's like, oh, he wants to see me.
Yeah, and I mean, it sort of leads you to think that this is a big deal, although you come to find that she's...
It's a big deal for different reasons than you think.
Yeah.
Because Emma, first of all, is like basically her assistant. But yeah, Emma's like, it's today, isn't it? And you think it's like her... What it leads you to believe it's like is like maybe it's like her first big debut or something, but it's really that it's the day that Nicky gets out of prison. Mm-hmm. But
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Anyways, Fanny says she'll be there in a minute. She's going to take a few more moments to herself to reminisce. And
but the first lines in the movie is when she looks in the mirror and says, "Hello, gorgeous."
Oh, yeah, that's right. She walks around backstage for a little bit before she sits down.
Yeah.
And has that line, which is well regarded, for sure. But once she's sitting down after Emma has left, we basically go into a flashback. The whole movie takes place in a flashback.
She leans back and closes her eyes, and it's obvious that we're going into a flashback.
Yeah, so our first song is called If a Girl Isn't Pretty. which really sets the theme for at least the first half of the movie.
That she's supposedly not pretty.
Oh, I think it's more... I mean, yes, but I would say it's more she doesn't believe that she's pretty. Like, she has some pretty extreme self-esteem issues.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And that's why she's, quote-unquote, a funny girl. Mm-hmm. She feels like she has to compensate for her appearance.
No one will believe that she's beautiful.
Yeah, she has to be funny to be liked is ultimately her mindset, which is so sad.
Yeah.
And I really don't know any woman that doesn't, like, relate to that a little bit.
But, so, basically, Mrs. Strakosch is a bitch.
I mean, she's just, you know, your average, like, nosy, busybody neighbor.
Right. She thinks that she's not pretty enough, but her mother is very supportive. Rose is very supportive.
If you thought that Mrs. Strakoff's voice sounded familiar at all, that's because she played Betty Boop and Olive Oil.
Oh, I did notice that she had sort of that, you know, higher pitched kind of character voice.
A little cartoony.
Yeah.
Yeah. She also, at one point, played Popeye because the regular voice actor, a man, was away fighting in World War II.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at that. What's the actress's name?
You know, I have it written down somewhere, but it's not in front of me, so we'll never know.
Yeah, who cares? So she is going to be a part of this show called 8 Beautiful Girls 8. I'm one of the beautiful girls.
It's called what?
When she goes to the stage door for like that first production that she's in that she gets fired from.
Yeah.
She's talking to, like, the door guy, and she's like, 8 Beautiful Girls 8. I'm one of the beautiful girls.
8 Beautiful Girls 8?
That's what the sign says, because there's an 8 on either side of the beautiful girls.
Oh.
Anyway, so she is on stage with all of these chorus girls and doesn't really know what she's doing.
That's when Mr. Keeney comes in and fires her and makes it pretty clear that it's because she just doesn't look like the other girls.
Right.
Her legs are skinny.
Yeah.
They say she doesn't have the face.
Right.
Which is, like, I do understand where they're coming from, and I understand, like, why Barbra Streisand might have insecurities when she was younger. Maybe today. I think probably only when she was younger, though. I hope only when she was younger.
But it is hard to, like, suspend disbelief because
I know it's really hard to look at her and be like, oh, she's so ugly.
So pretty in the whole movie.
I know. She's gorgeous. Yeah. And I think it's also hard because, like, I guess we grew up with Barbra Streisand being an icon already.
Right. So
when we saw her, I think we were told, like, this is a beautiful woman.
Right.
So we don't see anything different. But I don't know. Like, I can understand why I don't know. I'm trying to say I get it, but I don't see it.
Right. Exactly. So basically, they're trying to, like, fire her and kick her out while she's singing I'm the Greatest Star.
Right.
And she eventually runs back into the theater and the song ends with her alone on the stage, which she obviously loves.
Yeah, so I get the impression he was the casting director.
Kevin?
No, I think his name is Eddie Ryan.
I thought she called him Kevin. She probably said Eddie at some point, and I thought she said Kevin, and then I wrote down Kevin the rest of the time. So.
Anyways. Okay, well, Eddie hears her sing. Mm-hmm. He applauds. He is the guy that cast her, and she asks him, why did you actually hire me? And he says it's because you wanted it so badly.
Yeah. Well, he said, what is it? Doesn't he say, like, you're not a chorus girl, you're a singer and a lead.
He does recognize that she has a lot of talent.
Right.
So he asks if she can skate. She says yes. Mm-hmm. Great, come back tomorrow.
Fake it till you make it.
She cannot skate.
She lied on her resume.
She joins, like, a roller skating chorus line.
Right.
And they're all sort of dressed, like, vaguely as grapes. Like,
yes.
Grape Moulin Rouge dancers, kind of, with roller skates on.
And what happens is basically becomes like her shtick as a performer, which is to be like the funny one who doesn't know what she's doing, you know.
Yeah. She takes all of the other women out.
Yeah.
They're understandably kind of pissed.
Yeah.
But she's a huge hit with the audience.
Right.
So when the song is over, and it's called in the movie Roller Skate Rag, when that ends, they're exiting. But then the casting director guy, who is either Eddie or Kevin, he like pushes her back on stage, says, "No, you stay out there.
Go sing a song."
And then he has to prevent, I think it's Georgia James, I think she goes by in the movie. I think it's her. Anyways, he has to like keep another girl from going out there, to the extent that he
rips her dress
purposefully rips her dress off.
I mean, he steps on her train. It's not.
Yeah, it's not as pervy as it sounds.
Right. He didn't like mean to necessarily rip her dress
It's
off.
not great.
No.
But it's also not that like debaucherous.
No. So she sings this another song called "I'd Rather Be Blue Over You Than Happy with Someone Else."
It's beautiful.
It is. And she's kind of skating around the whole time.
Yeah, suddenly she's like pretty okay at skating.
Yeah.
As long as she doesn't have to stop. She's bad at braking, except for when she brakes really well.
She can do her own thing. She just doesn't. She can't do choreography.
Yeah. But she glides very gracefully.
Yeah, and she's going backwards and stuff.
Like, that's not how a first-time skater skates.
Yeah. And kind of her whole thing is like, her whole shtick is kind of just like taking the piss out of like what people would think is like a serious element. You know what I mean?
Taking the piss out of?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm
Have
British.
you been watching a lot of British TV lately?
Maybe.
What are you watching?
Wait, what? I've been watching RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the World.
Okay, there you go.
Anyway. But I mean, I don't know of another phrase that would mean the same thing.
Dunking on.
Dunking on. But just like, you know, making like taking something more lightly that some people would take seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just like poking fun at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Mr. Keeney is almost convinced. Obviously, she has this problem where she disobeys her directors and stuff, and usually it's a hit, and they're usually mad about it because she was right. You know what I mean? So she goes backstage, and all the roller skate girls are kind of making fun of her, and then we get somebody appears backstage.
A knock on the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's right when she's saying too. Another woman says to her before, she's making a snide remark about no one's going to discover Fanny out in the audience. She says, "Who do you think is going to see you? Florin Ziegfeld?"
Right.
And she says, "Yeah, you know, for all we know, he could knock on the door any day." And then all of a sudden, there's a knock on the door.
Right.
And so they're all just like, "Oh my God.
Oh my God, did you manifest this?"
Yeah. It's the secret.
But
She's secreting.
But it's not Ziegfeld. It's not Ziegfeld. It is Nicky Arnstein.
Yeah. By the way, secreting is a Jenna Maroney thing.
Right. The secret, yes.
I've been secreting. Okay. Anyways, yes, it's not Ziegfeld. It is, Nicky Arnstein.
And
what a handsome man.
And like I said, I had never seen this before. Obviously, I'd heard the songs, and I had always thought that in the I think it's in "Don't Rain on My Parade," where she says, "Hey, Mr. Arnstein."
Yeah, I imagined it's like a
it
producer or a casting director or
and
somebody.
I always thought that his name was Arnstein, like O-N.
Oh, okay. I just never once thought that song was about chasing a guy.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was about, like, getting apart.
Yeah.
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 So
I don't like it any less knowing that it is about chasing a guy.
No, other
you know
than that
what?
she's kind of an idiot. But
Okay. Okay. Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa.
All right. We'll get there. We'll get there when
Yeah.
we get there.
So Nicky Arnstein has come backstage to tell her how great she was. He seems to be like well known around town, but he doesn't really have connections to like the theater community. But everyone knows who he is.
Yeah, and he seems to be rich, but not like so rich that he can't cavort with actresses.
He's got ruffles, but they aren't starched.
Right. She is just like obviously smitten.
Yeah.
From the moment she lays eyes on him.
Obviously a beautiful man.
Yeah, and I wrote down like in my notes getting big new girl vibes. Like Jessica Day.
Wow,
like,
wow.
Yeah, because she doesn't really hide it. You know what I mean?
Hubba.
And I think that Fanny Bryce serves as inspiration for a lot of modern characters, particularly the girls that are more quirky or...
I mean, she's kind of a manic pixie dream girl.
I'm not going to lie. I found her kind of obnoxious for the first... I don't know, maybe 45 minutes.
Oh, I was really annoyed how she...
She really grew on me.
Yeah.
Especially once I realized that a lot of her behaviors and actions come from her insecurity.
Oh, for sure.
When, before I realized that, I thought she was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Like she just doesn't know when to turn it off.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And, when she finally... I mean, we'll get there, but when she finally gets hired... in the Follies, it's like you just got like your biggest chance and you're already like flexing.
I know. I was like, girl, what are you doing?
Just say okay.
You can't. Yeah. Okay. We'll get there.
So anyway, basically, Nicky kind of goes to bat on her behalf, says that he's like a scout for another theater company when he's talking to the director of this show, and like gets him to up her salary by a lot.
Yeah, he gets her to $50 a week, and it's only after Keeney walks away that, of course, Arnstein reveals there was no employer that he was authorized to negotiate on the behalf of. Nicky is beckoned by his friends, his very rich, fancy friends.
And he's obviously smitten with her.
Yeah, but she doesn't
take it seriously.
She doesn't take it seriously, and I think she's intimidated.
Well, yeah, it's another part of her insecurity is that she thinks that he couldn't be actually interested.
Yeah, and I think seeing the friends too kind of freaks her out. She's like, "Oh, I don't fit in."
Yeah.
With that group.
But he invites her out, and she declines for the first time. And he says that he hopes they'll meet again, and he leaves her with a kiss on the hand. And she says, Nicky Arnstein, I'll never see you again.
So, anyways.
Back at the saloon.
It's a salon. I don't know where I got salon from. And I saw that there was a long bar in the building, but...
And they're playing poker at the salon?
Well, I thought that was more of like... I figured it was one of those situations where they live in the same space that they use for a commercial business.
Sure, and that was like their break room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's how I pictured it.
Like a break room / kitchen.
And then the long bar, I just sort of... Like, in my head, I can see hair dryers.
She says saloon a number of times.
I heard salon every time. Okay, anyways. So, okay.
There is a telegram.
Yeah.
I think this is where it's 6 months later.
We flash forward, yes. Yeah. And for some reason, all of the kids and a bunch of adults in the neighborhood are super stoked that a telegram is being delivered to the Bryces.
Yeah, it doesn't really explain if, like, I don't know, nothing happens on, what's the name of the street again?
Henry.
Yeah, nothing happens on Henry Street. That one telegram gets everyone excited.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of I think they said the Western Union Man is coming. And it made me think about the Wells Fargo Man.
Oh, from Music Man.
Right. And so I know that they used to get excited about, like...
Any sort of delivery.
Yeah.
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 I mean, same when your Amazon packages come, it's really exciting.
Well, yeah, but the whole neighborhood doesn't come out to cheer and applaud and see what it is.
Oh, your milk frother came.
Oh, you bought one of those?
Yes, I did.
That's great. Anyways, okay, so
Fanny and Kevin or Eddie are walking back to the salon or saloon.
She mentions she's been singing the same song for 6 months.
Right. But the telegram turns out is from the Follies, and it's to meet Florence Ziegfeld at the New Amsterdam Theater.
Everyone is thrilled. She shows up to the theater. We basically just immediately cut to her audition where she sings the song Secondhand Rose.
But she says,
gorgeous.
But she says, and this is another part of her thinking that she doesn't deserve what she gets.
Oh,
or
right.
whatever.
Yeah, she has this like dramatic meltdown.
She's like, I haven't suffered enough yet. I didn't work for it.
This is about the time where I started kind of liking her, just because she was obviously being funny.
Right.
But I think a little bit truthful at the same time.
Yeah, she didn't think
she was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But the way she reacted and just like slammed her head on the table was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she's really charismatic and likable, which is why this worked. So she sings Secondhand Rose in the audition. Ziegfeld loves it, and he gives her that number in the show, and he wants her to sing the finale. Right.
So she obviously says yes. She says, I'll do whatever you want me to do. But then she looks at the sheet music, for the finale number, and she has to go back out there and tell Ziegfeld that she cannot sing that song.
And he's already gone up to the balcony where he's going to watch the rest of the show.
It's like a big deal that he has to come back down. But she remains defiant and says that she won't do it because she says it's too embarrassing to sing lyrics like, I am the beautiful reflection of my love's affection.
Right.
So as you were alluding to earlier, when I'm watching this for the first time, I'm thinking, oh my God, what is her deal?
Yeah.
Like, calm down. You do not have like enough authority. You have no clout. You have no position.
And this is your dream job.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Right.
You can't refuse this.
Right. And ultimately, he says, either you do this number or you're not in the show.
Right. And so she agrees to do the number. And then we more or less cut immediately to the number itself.
Yeah. So you don't see her sing the other song in the show.
When we get to the finale number and it begins, this is when I started thinking, oh, okay, I kind of understand where she was coming from, because this is super embarrassing.
It is, yeah. So it's called...
It's awful.
It's called His Love Makes Me Beautiful, and it's just, it's very cringy.
Yeah.
Just like these, like, beautiful lady tableaus of them, and it's like...
It's so bad. And it truly is about a woman who believes that she's beautiful because she is loved by a man.
Oh, yeah. So eventually it opens up to this huge, like, I guess what Ziegfeld is known for, like big, huge set, which is like staircases and chandeliers and stuff, where all of these beautiful feathered ladies are standing.
Yeah.
And she comes down from the top, right?
Yeah, and she's more or less hiding behind all these women with their, I don't know, maybe big feathers or something. Mm-hmm. And the camera's zooming in as they go, to the big reveal. And once we finally see Fanny, she has given herself a fake pregnancy belly.
Yes.
And so it's now a joke. The whole song is a joke about how she's the most beautiful bride in the world and she's heavily pregnant.
And it's really funny because, like...
It is really funny.
Like, I'm the reflection of his love, meaning, like, this baby is the reflection of us doing it.
Yeah, no. She It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like it is incredible how funny the song becomes.
Yes.
When she gives it that spin. Pretty much everybody loves it except for
Ziegfeld.
Yes.
Because I mean, if it was his idea, he probably would have liked it. It's because she disobeyed him that he
and it
doesn't
was
like it.
Controversial and it was
A little body.
Yes. Especially I would imagine for the 20s.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be the teens.
Yeah, that's true.
But the audience loves it. They give her a standing ovation. So he basically comes and grabs her from the wings and walks her back to her dressing room.
Yeah. Just more or less awaits an explanation as to what she possibly was thinking. But it winds up being that he wants to fire her, but he can't deny her talent. So he tells her to keep doing what she's doing because it was such a huge hit. And he mentions that he's going to pick another new song.
And then she pushes it again.
He's
She's
going to pick another song
she's
for
like,
her.
no, I
and
need
she
to
says,
choose my own song.
Yeah, she has to pick her own.
Like, she just almost got fired.
Yeah.
And she's doing it again.
She knows her worth.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, she's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What she does is successful.
It's true.
But it's still like, girl, just...
I know. She's stressful. It's
Yeah.
stressful. So just then, Nick knocks on the door once again, and Ziegfeld sort of takes his cue to leave at that moment. So
Yeah.
they don't really settle the who's picking the next song issue. But Nick arrives, and it's apparent that he and Ziegfeld are friends. Like, there's a little exchange.
They know each other, like, know of each other or whatever.
But
you know.
Nick swears it wasn't him that told Ziegfeld about Fanny.
Right.
That's never really cleared up. It's sort of a non-issue, but
Yeah,
it makes me think that he was.
The fact that he said that he wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But anyways.
Also, if your nickname is Nicky, I mean, you gotta guess that there's some mob ties there. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I don't think there were necessarily mob ties.
No, but I mean, like, organized crime ties, like with bookies and stuff, you know?
Well, not until there was, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I'm assuming that, like, the gambling world and the...
I think his name was Nick, and she just called him Nicky.
Well, his real name doesn't have, let me see, doesn't even have Nick in it. His real name, let me see. Julius W. Nicky Arnstein.
Okay, whatever. it does not matter. Anyways.
Doesn't.
So,
He got her flowers.
he got her flowers, and he asks her out once again. She declines once again to go to the salon, hang out with
Where everyone's
her
drinking.
neighbors.
Everyone's drinking at the salon.
right. and I believe it's at this point that, or is it? No, it's probably later. No, it is. It is. It's at this point where,
He goes there with her.
yeah, but right before the mom and Strakosh and Eddie Ryan or Kevin had shown up and mentioned that they were having the mom. I remember the mom invited
right.
Ziegfeld. She said there will be free beer.
Right. And she's about to get her lashing from Ziegfeld.
Yeah, we skipped over that. But
Yeah.
anyways, okay. So Nick, much to Fanny's surprise, agrees to go.
Yeah. Well, she thinks that he's like too high class for that, but he's not.
Sure, yeah. He's not. He's a cool dude.
Yeah. And they're playing poker. He's in his element.
So handsome.
He plays poker with the ladies, which Mrs. Strakoff finds to be suspicious.
No, it's her mother.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mrs. Strakosh is playing poker with Nicky.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah.
I guess it's her that insists that they go be alone.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's the mom who is watching him play poker, and she comments how comfortable he looks.
Right.
How familiar he seems, and she has a statement about, I believe that strangers should act strangely.
Right.
Or something like that. She just, her alarms are raised.
Which is kind of an Act 1 gun when you think about it. I mean, it is...
Is a what?
An Act 1 gun.
A what?
Basically just a foreshadowing event that happens in the beginning of a movie.
Act 1 gun?
Uh-huh.
I've never heard that before.
They use it on this on my... on my RuPaul recap podcast.
Okay, well,
but it's
I'm not that cool.
Yeah, but it's a foreshadow to what will ultimately happen with his gambling. They're putting that seed in your head.
Okay, Act 1 gun.
But he's playing poker, and he actually decides to let one of the old ladies win. He doesn't take his 4 aces.
Mrs. Straykosh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Fun fact, in real life, the actor Omar Sharif loved the game of bridge.
Oh.
So much that he authored and co-authored a number of books on the game. He had a syndicated weekly, I guess, newspaper column about bridge. And he also licensed his name and likeness and voice, I believe, to a computer bridge game.
Oh.
Yeah. And he would, he was also known to, postpone filming so that he could...
Because of, bridge tournaments?
Yes, exactly.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah, he was a big bridge player. Also, he was really into horse racing, so that part of his character was not a stretch either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. So
Mrs. Straykosh insists that they, go be alone. Well, she leaves them alone at the table.
Yeah.
And then they go for a walk in the alley.
Which is just a different world than I've ever seen portrayed in the early 1900s. On TV.
A couple being... alone together?
Especially an older woman encouraging.
Oh, yeah.
That a couple be left alone together.
Yeah.
Just another thing that lent to my confusion about what time period we were in.
Yeah, it's never a big deal that they have sex before they get married or anything.
And I mean, this is all supposed to be a true story, so...
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's sort of...
Maybe they weren't such bad times.
I mean, that part of it is really sort of a non-issue. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And she is always talking about his, indecent proposals and stuff, which... I don't know. It didn't seem to me like he was trying to, bone her, but she kept saying that he was. You know what I mean?
I think, back then it was one of those things where women just assumed... they're only in it for one thing.
I mean, they can probably assume that now, too.
Sometimes, yes.
But he's making a move.
Not always.
He's making his move. He's kind of leaning in on the wall.
Yeah, I guess so. But she's always trying to put distance between them, and I do think he's respectful.
Yeah, I agree.
Of that distance, but also... she's putting up that distance because she, again, she has no confidence in herself.
She doesn't think that she
is just so nervous.
Right.
And she just doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So, you're just sort of yelling at her oh, just kiss him.
I mean, until the very end, she still thinks that he's somehow too good for her because he's so handsome or whatever,
He is super handsome.
He is.
But he has problems,
yes.
Which we're going to get to.
Yes. She says that she has been thinking about him nonstop, and she apologized for how much she talks, and he says that he loves how much she talks.
Yeah, so where are we? Oh, we're okay.
They're
so
in the
they've
alley.
gone out into the alley for some privacy.
Yeah, and she says that she's never had a boyfriend, which I'm guessing is meaning that she's a virgin, but who cares? Actually, you know what?
That's made clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's made clear later on.
Yeah. Oh, this is where I wrote, it's taking me out of it that she's actually so pretty.
She is so pretty. And there's a lot of soft lighting. They love to do that in the 60s.
We got the 60s fuzzy love filter.
Yeah.
Sparkly eyes.
Unnecessary because she looks gorgeous either way.
And this is when she sings People. One of the first songs in the show that is not an actual performance on a stage. You know what I mean?
It's not a musical within a musical.
Right.
It's a natural, I guess, reaction to what's happening.
And I like that there's both in this.
I do too, especially because the stage numbers are fairly limited. Mm-hmm. I think there's a good balance of it. It's kind of in the same way that they did White Christmas, where, well, actually...
there are...
I don't know if that's fair to say. I think there's less stage performances in this one than there were in White Christmas.
I mean, it's really front heavy with the stage.
It is.
With the stage numbers in this one.
With all the musical numbs in general, it's actually really front heavy.
There's not many songs in the second act.
No, there's not.
But, so this is her just like, you know, singing about how people need love and blah, blah, blah. And he is just kind of looking at her admiringly.
Right. So Arnstein he says after the song, he says to her after the song that he wishes he could stay and get to know her better, but he's got to catch a train to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like, Kentucky?
Horse
what?
Race. Yeah.
Kentucky? Ugh, lame.
He's got to see a man about a horse.
Yeah, and there's a pretty funny little exchange. He says he has a half interest in a farm that breeds horses, and she says, "What's the matter? They can't do it alone."
There are so many asides like that that are in this that you can't even write all of them down.
Yeah, no, it's true. So she accepts the whole horse breeding thing, whatever, and walks him to his car.
And he's kind of hard to read because he's obviously been like pursuing her this whole time, and then she walks him to his car, and he's like, "I just can't, I'm too tied down to have any definite plans."
So for me, this is red flag number 1.
Yeah.
And it is just, it is so frustrating.
If he's leaving tomorrow and he was pursuing her that hard, then all he did want was...
And the fact that he's just comfortable saying, like, I just float freely, I do what I want without any regard.
Oh, I can't, yeah.
For the other people in my life.
I can't be tied down. I don't really have a home base.
Yeah.
Yeah, red flag. Huge red flag.
And, only in your early 20s do you accept that.
Right.
But that's where we're at in the movie.
Yeah.
In Fanny's life.
So he drives away and then she finishes the song.
Yeah. Did we say that they kissed? They did kiss.
Oh, they did have a passionate kiss.
It was really romantic.
Yes.
I mean, look, like, Nick sucks, but is he a heartthrob? 100%.
He's hot and they have chemistry.
Yeah, they do. So, yes, it's about a year later. It's actually a year and 2 weeks.
Right.
Which will later be clarified. But the Ziegfeld girls... Ziegfeld. I know. I keep wanting to say Ziegler, yeah. The Ziegfeld girls are on tour. They've stopped in Baltimore. They're coming off of the train. And interestingly, all of the girls are in these very bright, vibrant colors, except for Fanny. She's in a very dull, like monotone gray.
Yeah. But the photographers want pictures of her.
Yeah,
she's like the star now.
And she seems to really enjoy her little mini photo session.
Yeah, based on her character, you'd think that she would have been like more self-conscious about
I just get the impression that she is sad because she hasn't heard from Nick in apparently a year.
Yeah. And he was supposed to get back in touch whenever he came back to town or whatever. Right.
And so, I mean, she's a star, but she's sad internally. And so that's why she's wearing these dull gray colors.
She's in mourning.
Half mourning.
Yeah.
But of course, she gets off the train. She takes her pictures. And then lo and behold.
Who's there?
There's old Nicky Arnstein.
He's there at the train station. And he pulls this little trick on her. He's like, I'm actually here to meet another girl. She's a horse. It was for Elsie.
Elsie, yeah.
Who is his like prize-winning racehorse.
Yeah, exactly. Nick asks her out to dinner. once again, and she
turns him down
once again.
And he says, I've got a private dining room, like, I'll be there no matter what, so if you want to come.
She says, no law against waiting. People wait all the time. So, obviously alluding to, you made me wait a year, so
right.
F you.
Yeah.
Later on, she's getting ready for dinner, obviously, but she refuses to say out loud that she is going to dinner.
Right.
But she does. She arrives at this all red, like Art Deco, I guess, kind of
very
private dining
sexy boudoir
establishment.
Sort of private dining room.
There is a chaise lounge.
Yeah, I said
in there.
I said it has a fucking couch.
Yeah, and she also immediately comments on that.
Yeah.
And asks,
like, what do you got? What do you got on ideas?
Right. But there's back and forth, but ultimately they hit it off. Yes, and he gets her a gift of he gives her a blue marble egg.
Yeah.
Which was just something that he bought for himself in Rome and he really loved. So he wanted to give it to her.
Right.
Which, okay, sure.
Sure, it's an egg.
I'll take it.
She says something like, someone lay an egg on the table?
I know, because she cannot quit cracking jokes.
Yeah, that's her defense mechanism.
I know. I just want to shake her and be like, love yourself.
Yes. But he gives her a glass of sherry and she shoots it.
Right, yeah.
And he asks why she's angry. And obviously...
She erupts and says, I'm not angry.
Yeah. But it's obvious why she's angry.
Because he didn't call her for a year.
Right. But he says that he wanted to stay away because she wouldn't know how to handle it.
It's like, write me a letter and tell me that.
Right.
If you really want to keep away, don't put a return address on it.
Right. And don't assume what I can handle or not.
Ugh.
Don't
he's
tell
also
me.
in here. Oh, it drives me nuts that he's right though. Because she wasn't ready.
No.
She wasn't.
She still isn't.
She's more ready, which he says.
Right. Yeah.
Nick is a catch at this point.
Yes.
I hate to say it, but he is.
I mean, I feel like he's boyfriend or hookup material. He's
100%.
He's not marriage material.
Yes. I couldn't put it better. That's what it is.
Have that relationship.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Don't get married.
But have a relationship with him. Absolutely. Yeah. He is worth your time for a relationship. And see where it goes.
Yeah.
See where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she is she's too blind to see any of his...
Well, she wants to be a Sadie.
Right.
Sadie is Mrs. Straykosh's daughter. Married daughter. She's married to a dentist.
So being a Sadie in this movie means that you're married.
Yeah. And that's important to Fanny because it's not something that she ever really saw for herself.
Right. Yeah, because she never thought of herself as worthy of a man or whatever.
Yeah.
So then he orders for them, but it's in French or something, and she's like, "I would have gotten roast beef and potatoes." And
which is what he ordered.
He's like, "What did you order?" He said, "Roast beef and potatoes."
Yeah.
It's just cute.
Yeah. He knew.
So then they sing, "You are woman, I am man."
Yeah, but for this song, I would say literally anybody, any handsome man could be in this role.
Yeah. He's not a singer.
I mean, probably still with the song, in the movie. As long as you're not completely tone deaf.
Yeah.
And you're handsome.
And I think this is
you could do this, but still, I love him.
This is the only time he sings though, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think that you have to be a decent singer, but as long as you're not tone deaf, you could.
Yeah, and it's not a very challenging song.
Nor is it a challenging role. No. I find it a little refreshing that, when you really think about it, at the end of the day, Omar Sharif's character is total eye candy.
Yeah,
in the movie.
Yes.
But isn't it nice that it's the guy for once?
Yeah, he's he is the pretty boy arm candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
anyway, The point of this song is like basically like I am woman, you are man. Like what more can I say? You know,
I am
which was
man, you are woman.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was giving me Skater Boy vibes.
What do you
He
mean?
was a boy, she was a girl. Can I make it any more obvious?
No.
Which is the point of this, which is always so funny whenever I heard that song. It's like, can I make it any more obvious? Yeah, well, yeah.
Hey, do you want to know a fun fact that has a connection to Canada?
Sure.
So, Barbra Streisand, a lot of famous romances
Yes.
in her life, in her public life. One of them was with Pierre Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, and Justin Trudeau's
father.
dad.
Oh.
Yeah. Like right after this movie. 69 to 70.
Is he really his dad, though? Or was it Fidel Castro?
What?
Have you heard that conspiracy theory?
I have not heard that. I will say I see the resemblance, but Pierre was not as handsome as Justin. I think Justin got a lot of looks from his mom because Pierre was, well, but also Pierre was 50 when she dated him and she was like 27, 28. But I hear he was a great guy, so whatever, you know.
Justin Trudeau, recast. He's Nicky.
Wait, so what is the conspiracy theory about Justin Trudeau's dad as Fidel Castro?
Yeah, there's like a conspiracy. I don't know exactly the details. I mean, that's the gist of it.
Did you know that Ted Cruz's dad is the Zodiac Killer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know that Avril Lavigne died in 2005?
Also Paul McCartney. Wow. So many dead
Paul
celebs.
is dead.
Okay.
And so during this song, she's kind of got. This doesn't really happen I guess it might a couple times later, but it's like she's got like an internal monologue part of the song. You know?
Go on.
So she's just like saying like what her doubts are and stuff in her head rather than singing them out loud.
Right. Okay.
Which I'm assuming she just sings them out loud if it's in the stage show or whatever, you know. But she's got so many funny lines in this song. She says, how many girls become a sinner while they're waiting for a roast beef dinner? And she's like talking about like trying to become celibate because she doesn't want to like give in to him. She's like, would a convent take a Jewish girl?
Where I don't have notes on this at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I just wrote down because there are so many funny lines in this.
I have back at the salon.
Well, they're on the fucking couch and they kiss. And she says, "If I stop him now, can he sue me?" And they lay down, and it's kind of implied that they do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So now back at the salon.
Mrs. Bryce and the neighbors, they're playing another game of poker. Mrs. Bryce tells them that Fanny called long distance that morning.
Baltimore.
All the way from Baltimore.
And like the women are like, she must be tired.
And while Fanny didn't say as much, Mrs. Bryce understands that she's obviously running around with a boy.
Right, because she's not tired. She was actually giddy.
And she's doing all this sightseeing. And in fact, Fanny later comments, like, I've been to this city so many times and I had no idea how beautiful it was.
Right.
Because every city's beautiful when you're in love.
It's like Cleveland on 30 Rock.
Yeah. That's a good. Yeah, I love that. So Nick and Fanny, we cut to them in Baltimore. They're at like a lobster shack.
Yeah.
And
like
she's
out on a dock.
about to have her third one.
Yeah.
And apparently she just tried her first.
Right.
But it's their last day together. She has to go to Chicago and she wants him to come with, but he says he can't.
And she is obviously like, I don't know what to call this.
I mean, she's
mesmerized by the
lobster.
Yeah, I mean, she's
in love. Like, she is totally
but she just had
head
sex
over
for
heels.
the first time. Yeah, she's dangerously attached is what I wrote down.
Sure. I think that he is in love with her too.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah,
but
I do too.
He's more freewheeling.
Right.
And, you know, he didn't have to tease her with the fact that he says that yesterday I was planning on coming with you, but now I can't. And it's like, why would you mention that?
Right.
Like, if you can't, don't tell me that you thought you were gonna yesterday.
Yeah. And this is the first time he lost all of his money.
Yeah. So he says that because he lost in the horse race so badly, he's lost his horse and his interest in the farm. And so his plan to recoup that money is to go on a cruise to Europe, somewhere in England, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But not to go to England, but to just play poker with all the old rich men.
Yeah.
On the boat.
Right.
And she's like, wait, you can't come with me because you have to play poker with a bunch of old guys on a boat.
And he says, yes, precisely.
Even though you don't even want to go there. Yeah.
It's not about the destination. It's about the climb, baby.
And he's like, look, I told you that I don't like to be tied down. So she gets up, she walks out. She cancels her third lobster order.
And he says that he likes her because a girl who has her own work is too busy to get lonesome. Which, like, okay, I see how it is.
Yeah, so I think I have questions about this movie overall and, like, what is the message? Because there is definitely a theme of career-oriented women don't make good wives.
Yes.
That comes up again and again and again.
That there's not really a way for her to have it all.
But I don't think that is the message of the movie, especially when I found out that it's a true story. I think, number one, it is what it is. Like, it's what happened.
Right.
But number two, I do think that ultimately she matures. She becomes a much stronger person. Yeah. By the end of the movie.
And also something that happened in real life that isn't in the movie is that their courtship is much longer, and he actually went to jail for a couple of years while they were dating before they got married.
Oh, interesting.
So she knew that he was potentially a criminal before they got married.
Okay. Yeah. But in this movie, it's sort of implied that, like, she's missing all of the clear signals that he's a criminal.
Right.
Or not a criminal, that he's a problem gambler.
I mean...
Because he's not a criminal until a little bit later.
Right.
In the movie.
Right. It's implied, I think, that she is blinded by her love for him and by his beauty and stuff, and doesn't really see any of his negative aspects.
She's never been really, like, charmed or pursued before. We're told, more or less.
Which is why she shouldn't have married him.
But I mean, you also have to keep in mind, if this is in fact, the early 20s or the late teens.
If you get to this point, you probably should get married.
Yeah, I mean, people got married on a lot less.
Yeah.
True.
You're right.
And it was much more of an aspiration.
Yeah.
I think the only difference with Fanny and most women is that Fanny actually had a career to fall back on.
Right.
She was very lucky in that sense. Most women wouldn't really have an option.
Right. And unless, she starts putting her own money into it, which she wants to, which is dumb, then she's still set. You know what I mean?
He's very lovable, though. He's not the worst.
No, and he doesn't really want... He's
not a provider, but she doesn't need a provider.
She doesn't need a provider, and he's not a freeloader. He doesn't want her to be
The problem is he wants to be a provider for a woman that doesn't need a provider.
Exactly.
And that's why they're not good for each other.
Right. But he also wants a woman who works because she's too busy to miss him. So there's...
Right. And he loves her talent.
Yeah.
And he respects her talent.
Yeah.
So it's basically that he just can't handle not being successful.
Right.
He just... It eats at him too much.
His job is gambling. It's not like can you call that success?
I know. I mean, so many red flags.
Yeah.
Again, this is why he's great to date. Don't marry him.
Right. But this is the first time he says he loves her, and they kiss passionately, but she doesn't respond.
It is romantic though.
Yeah, I mean,
all of it is so
they're
romantic.
on the dock. They just had lobster. Yeah. I can see why she's. But anyway, she doesn't say it back, but I think it's kind of implied.
The next day, she is at the train station. They are on their way to Chicago.
Yeah.
And somehow he has managed to get flowers delivered to the train station, the classic yellow roses, which he always sends. And by the way, when she enters the train station, I thought it was interesting so remember earlier, she comes off the train in all gray, very drab, but her personality is bright.
Yeah.
In this scene, she's dressed in all bright orange.
But she's more somber.
But she's very somber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so she gets the flowers, and all of a sudden she really perks up.
And the flowers also say, I love you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she decides all of a sudden, I'm not going to Chicago. I'm going to go chase after Nick. I'm going to follow him, get on this boat, and go on the old man cruise.
I was so mad at her.
All of the other women were too.
Yeah.
They were trying to really talk her out of it. I was not mad at her about it.
Really?
I really wasn't.
Okay.
I think that she had a lot of valid points, and I think that she was recognizing her self-value. I'm not saying that chasing after Nick per se is like a great thing to do, but the fact that she was saying like my personal life is coming first.
And you know what? Her gut her gut is usually right.
Yeah. I mean, I think she was looking out for number one.
And at this point, it's obvious that nothing that she does is going to get her fired from Ziegfeld.
Yeah, she is the star. She made a valid point on the phone. She said, you don't need me. You've got so-and-so and so-and-so.
And you've got only 2 weeks left on tour.
Right. And, I need to have a personal life if I'm going to continue to be the star of your show.
Right.
So good for her, I said. And then she sings Don't Rain on My Parade, which... you know, probably the biggest song from the movie.
Yes.
I mean, it is. It's hands down the biggest song, or the most replicated or redone song.
Fucking Leah Michele.
Covered. Covered is the word I'm looking for. Redone. I thought it was cool what she did. So she gets to the boat.
Oh, but one of the girls says to her, she's like, I know this sounds right for you, but is it right for Nick?
Georgia James.
And I was like, yeah, she's not thinking about like...
Yeah. No, and I was scared.
Yeah.
I was worried that Nick wasn't going to be happy.
Or like she'd get on the boat and there was like another girl or something.
I know. Yeah. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
But she does make it onto the boat. She has to catch a tugboat. And there's like that epic, you know.
Wait a sec. Is Nicky Arnstein the proto Che Diaz?
The who?
Did you watch And Just Like That?
No.
Oh.
No, I did not. I won't.
Che Diaz is the Sarah Ramirez character that everyone hated.
Oh, I know what happens. Yeah.
Like,
sure.
Miranda drops they.
She was Callie on Grey's Anatomy.
They.
I'm sorry. I meant the actress.
Also non-binary.
My bad. They were Callie on Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along.
So she sings Don't Rain on My Parade and it ends with her on this. I'm assuming the tugboat is like taking her to the cruise ship or something.
Yeah. We've moved on. We're on the boat now.
Yeah. I just wasn't
the big boat.
I wasn't clear on the like logistics of how she got there.
Well, I mean, she was on a small boat and then she wound up on the big boat. So I think it's safe to assume that the small boat took her to the big boat.
But what I'm saying is that like it seems like she like missed the cruise or something.
She did.
And she had to take the tugboat to the cruise.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you pieced that together perfectly.
I got it. And so that's how the first act ends. And the second act is like much longer. I mean, much shorter and like less dense than the first act.
So they go to dinner. Because he's very happy to see her on the boat, by
Yeah.
the way. Yeah. So they go to dinner. They're super duper in love. She's wearing this really incredible dress,
Oh, yeah.
gown, maybe pantsuit type thing.
And another
very
beehive.
flowy. It's almost completely sheer. It reminded me of Rihanna's naked dress.
Yeah.
But
she
like
looks,
60s.
She looks great.
Yeah. Really gorgeous. They go into dinner and
She wants to go gamble with him or like go watch him play poker, basically.
Well, for a very important reason, being that, she brings up, where I'm from, when two people really love each other, they agree to get married.
Oh, right.
And then he, they go back and forth, but eventually he says, okay, why don't we get married?
But he has to make his money back.
But he has to make his money back first. And so
Yeah.
she says, she practically begs him, well, let me come since my whole future as a Sadie is riding on this.
Right.
Because if he doesn't win, then they're not going to get married.
Right.
So she does join him for a little bit.
Promises that she can have a poker face.
She can't.
She cannot. Although it ends up working when it comes down to it.
She knows when to turn it off.
Yeah.
But he, I think, is really anxious with her being there. So he just sort of says all of a sudden, like, it's time for
isn't
you
it
to
late?
leave.
Right. She's like, okay, bye.
So she waits up for him. She falls asleep on the couch. He comes back, and I guess he purposefully slams the door to wake her up.
Right.
And
And he's being like,
very coy.
yeah.
Yeah. But lo and behold, he has, in fact, won the money, and he tells her in a very cute way.
Yeah.
He says something to her where he
He
says, like, you
calls
should
her
have
Sadie.
gone- yeah.
He calls her Sadie.
He says you should have gone to bed, Sadie.
Yeah.
Something.
And,
And
like-
then she responds, but then she realizes, wait,
You
did
just call me Sadie. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cute.
It's cute.
It's pretty cute. So they get married, I
Flash
think.
forward to her huge diamond ring.
Bonkers.
And they're like
So big.
They're millionaires now.
Yeah. They get married. She sends a postcard to mom.
Mm-hmm.
They move into a country estate mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think was actually on Long Island, I believe.
Sure, whatever.
So she sings Sadie, Sadie, which is all about being married. And it's sort of like a montage of like, first they're at the European hotel and they come, like you said, they come back to their house. He says that he's going to make so much more money on a Florida deal. He says, but there's nothing to worry about, which sounds like a...
Whatever you say, Nicky.
Whatever. Sort of a marriage montage. It shows them like having like al fresco lunch on the lanai with Ziegfeld.
Yeah. And
So,
then all of a sudden, she's pregnant.
Uh-huh.
And now she's singing a beautiful reflection of my love's affection with actual sincerity.
Right.
They have a daughter named Frances.
Uh-huh.
And flash forward, da-da-da-da-da.
He gets the baby a pearl necklace.
Right, and Fanny is back in the theater.
Yeah.
And Nick is in Oklahoma trying to strike oil or something.
Yes.
She says that he calls every night. Everything's fine. Mm-hmm. And then he returns home, and it appears that the venture in Oklahoma was not going fine.
They didn't strike oil.
They struck nothing.
They have to sell the house and get an apartment.
Pretty much, but...
I don't think they ever do, though.
No, they do. They move, for sure. But importantly, before that happens, like, she sort of preempts that conversation. I think, despite the arguments that, like, she's a bad wife or whatever, she does understand that he's...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she doesn't care that he's lost, and she understands that his pride is hurt. So before he says we have to move, she says, I'm getting really tired of the commute.
Yeah.
To the theater.
They're cute together.
Yeah, like she says, why don't we get an apartment? Why don't we move closer? Or she gives him the opportunity to suggest, why don't we just move closer to the theater?
Right.
So that he doesn't have to say I lost the house. He does anyway.
Right.
But, I think she is looking out for his pride in that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cute.
So 2 weeks later or so, Nick is at a casino.
Yes.
And news about his failure in the oil drilling venture has spread all around town.
It's all over town. And what's his name? Tom, the gambling house guy?
Bronca?
Whoever owns the...
Mr. Bronca,
whoever owns the casino or whatever.
Yeah.
He says that, like... Is this when this happens? Oh, yeah. He says that because there's such a big spotlight on Fanny, that's why things go around so much about him.
Right. So Nick is like, okay, I gotta go gamble some money to prove my alpha manliness.
It's also obviously based on everyone else's costumes, the 20s now. Like you see like flapper dresses and stuff.
Yeah. So the friend, the casino owner, tries to talk him out of it. He's supposed to be at the theater for Fanny's opening night of a show called The Swan.
Yeah.
It's a very, it's like comedic take on Swan Lake,
right?
I guess. But anyways.
Which is another, I mean, it's just her whole deal where she, like, it's something serious that she turns into a, you know.
A joke.
A satirical take on it or whatever.
Yeah. Something that was also especially written for this movie. But anyways, he says he'll be there in time. He's not.
Yeah.
You know he's not. He knows he's not going to make it. Everyone knows at this point he's not going to make it.
Emma calls him or sends a message to him or whatever at the casino, and he says that he'll try to be there by the second act. But
yeah, there's no way.
No.
So when he finally comes home, she's waited up for him. And they get into a fight. His position is mostly like, gambling is my job. This is what I do. So why shouldn't it be just as important as your opening night? And I mean, I guess in his defense, like, she's probably had a lot of opening nights.
Right.
But also, like, you're saying your job is gambling.
Right.
So that's not a job.
And also, even if she does have a lot of opening nights, it was really important to her that he was there.
It was really important. And gambling's not a job.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
Unless
you're on Wall Street.
It's okay if that's really important to you, but don't call it a job.
Right.
You know?
It's how he makes his money. I wouldn't call it a job. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Whereas, like, she actually has a job.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said...
When he tries to equate it.
Like I said, even if he has seen a bunch of her shows, she told him how important it was for her that he was there, and he still missed it.
And I do understand, like, why he's upset.
Yeah.
And why he's got this, like, internal struggle.
I mean, he feels emasculated.
But, like, get over it.
But he feels emasculated because, you know, it is, you know, at this time in history, and he's expected to provide for her, and he can't, you know.
Sure. And at no point, though, in the movie does he, like, even consider earning money through any means other than gambling.
Yeah.
So it's just...
He would never, it doesn't even occur to him to try to, like...
Can't be tied down.
Have a straight job, you know? Yeah.
But he is really cute. So there's that.
And he actually says something that's very true. She says, everyone has bad luck sometimes. He says, you don't. Which is kind of true. Like, everything comes up Fanny, you know
it's
what I
also very dismissive of her entire life experience.
That's true.
You know?
Like, I mean, saying that it's, like, luck rather than her hard work or
to
whatever.
say that she's, like, had an easy life, I think, would be extremely unfair.
You're right.
Yeah.
But things do tend to work out for her, but that's because of her
She's
talent.
also worked very hard.
Yeah.
To make that happen.
Yes.
Yeah, she hasn't I mean, she has taken risks. There is an analogy there.
Yeah.
But she's put a lot more effort to secure her bets than he has.
Yeah. And she's always right. With her like gambles or whatever.
She's the star of the show.
Yeah. But you know who doesn't like this? Rose.
The mom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And she is actually the one that thinks that no matter if his pride is injured or something, that Fanny should try to help him.
Yeah, I mean, this is where, you know, that big theme of Fanny is too self-focused comes in rather strongly. I mean, she says that more or less.
Yeah.
To Fanny, that she's been too distracted with herself to notice that her husband has been struggling for months.
Yeah.
And I mean...
And she's blinded by...
It is true that her husband has been struggling.
Yeah.
But I think there's also, like, a level of naivete there that's not really, like... It's not selfishness. Yeah, it's naivete. You know what I mean?
She sort of has she has this idea that everything's going to work out. You know what I mean?
Her mom says, okay, so your problem is you only see him the way you want to see him.
Right.
You are purposefully ignoring the bad things.
She's blinded by her idea of him.
And I don't know. Maybe that's true.
Yeah.
But he also promotes a version of himself that doesn't have these problems.
True. Yeah, I mean, he puts himself out there as this, like, debonair
everything's fine
worldly person but he's really just a gambler.
Yeah.
But she takes him at what his face value is to him.
I think he puts it best, and she agrees when they say we're just not good for each other.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. And even
there's nothing wrong with either of them. I mean, he might have a gambling problem.
Yes, he definitely has a gambling problem. And he has too much pride to... We'll get there. But even her mom says that she's heard about his money problems all around town, too.
Yeah.
It is all around town everywhere. So now he's at the racetrack. And some sleazeball approaches him with some ideas,
He's a bookie.
Yeah.
He's named Peterson, and he needs a front man. He needs a guy with a clean record.
Yeah.
To be the face of some phony bond deal that he wants to go down. And Nick initially says absolutely not.
Right. And he tries to, like, emasculate Nick again by saying that Fanny's his meal ticket.
Right.
Which, of course, he hates.
Nick goes home angry. Eventually, he winds up giving the guy a call back.
Well, because Tom, I think his name is Tom, the casino owner comes over because he and Fanny have hatched this plan.
Right.
That she's going to invest money into a new location without telling Nicky, and so it's suspicious to Nicky because he's going to be part owner without having any investment.
Yeah. And they say Mr. Bronca, perhaps Tom Bronca, says that, well, it's not your money we want, it's you.
Yeah.
But even if you look at it from the best,
like, how am I an owner without an investment?
It just doesn't make any sense.
No.
And it's pretty obvious, and then eventually confirmed that, it's because Fanny put in $50,000.
Yeah. So this is funny to me, too, because they've obviously been married for a while.
And they've kept their funds separate.
Yeah, that they would have separate money.
It's very modern.
Yeah.
Good for them, but so interesting.
But it's also, I mean, like, I don't know. That's how people keep secrets.
I mean, yeah, I don't know either, because it's not like she had a ton of money when they got married.
No, but at this point, she's been a star for a long time. But $50,000 is a lot of money back then.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not. I'm saying when they first got married, there was no reason to have like a prenup or anything like that.
Right.
There was no reason to like legally keep
their money,
their finances separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is why, I don't really understand it, because at the end of the day, it's their money. Together.
I mean, he does seem like even though he winds up being really uncomfortable with it, I think that he wants to be a very modern guy, and I think he wants to encourage her to have... I mean, he does say that he likes that she has her own life.
Right.
So, but I don't know, maybe he was like, in favor of her just keeping the money she earned separate.
Sure.
Because it's her money.
And that way he's not gambling with her money.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense, too.
I mean, for all of his problems, I think he did know where to draw the line when it came to overlapping gambling with his family life.
But as far as her using her money to make this investment, that's a bridge too far for him. And it's like, people wouldn't really have to know that. I mean, you would be the only ones that knew that, other than the fact that people knew that he had...
I think it's unfortunate that they got to this point. I understand why it upsets him.
Yeah.
I think it's a toxic idea that, you know, he's not worthy as a man because his wife makes more money than him.
Right, exactly.
But I understand why he feels humiliated in this moment.
Right, but this would also be like his foot in the door of like a real job. But
they're also trying to trick him into it, which can't feel great.
If they had come to him with honesty and told him about the idea, it would have been different than...
I'm sure he still would have rejected the notion, but it might have gone a little bit better. Like, he was going to reject it either way.
Right.
It basically, they made a very bad attempt to make it, like, secretive.
He might not
And it was very obvious what was going on. And then that must feel so much worse.
Right.
To know that they were trying to trick you.
Right.
And it was so obvious.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't.
And he probably wouldn't have had the immediate reaction to go to do this shady deal. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I don't want to blame them at all for what he does, but...
No, I mean, it's obviously his fault, but he's like... He's like, well, I guess this is where we're at, and like... this is like... It's really bad, is basically, like, you know what I mean? He's like...
It's really bad.
It's really bad. I have to go make this right away, you know?
All right, so he calls up the bookie and says that he's down.
Yeah, he's gonna
down
do the
to
thing.
clown. He's gonna be the front man.
Yeah.
So next thing we know, she's at opening night. She's waiting for Nicky to show up. He's not in his reserved seat, and it's because
Ziegfeld and Kevin are waiting. Are waiting for her.
Kevin, Eddie, Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not there because he's been arrested.
Yes.
Not just arrested, he's been indicted.
Yes.
For embezzlement.
It's all moving very quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's like a suit. Like, I feel like this is like the next day.
No, it's like that night.
Yeah. So he's in jail, but he says he doesn't want to see her.
I mean, he winds up pleading guilty. He was guilty.
Right.
And she doesn't see him.
It's not the plan for him to plead not guilty.
Yeah. So she gets like 5 minutes with him before they take him to jail.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't see him for 2 years. In those 5 minutes, he says he wants to get a divorce.
Yeah.
Because they're just not right for each other.
He says, you should divorce me.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that was because he couldn't divorce her from jail.
Right.
I think he would have done it himself if he weren't going to jail. Or I don't know. He may not have had that realization if he hadn't been going to jail. But point being...
And I don't remember who it is that asks her. Someone says before the court scene, like, does she still love him? And she doesn't answer.
It's a bunch of reporters.
Oh, right.
It's when she's leaving the theater to go see him.
Yeah. And she has like a quippy line for every question.
Yeah, she has.
Except for this one.
Yes, exactly. She's got a snarky little comeback. Yeah.
He didn't come home nights anyway.
Right. So he says he wants her to divorce him.
And
he's taken away to jail.
He also says some like dickhead things, which, you know, probably is like the pushing her away for her own good kind of a thing. But
I love it when men do that.
he says like, well, the publicity will be good for you. It's like, I don't know. It's just low. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. He's going to jail.
And he says as he walks off to jail, so long, funny girl.
So he leaves for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. She sings Funny Girl.
18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. She sings Funny Girl. And then we cut back to the present.
Right. We're back in the theater.
Yeah. Back in the Ziegfeld Theater and the head-to-toe cheetah print.
Mm-hmm.
Florence.
So this is when we find out that... what they were talking about. Obviously, she's been on stage with Ziegfeld for a long time. What they're talking about at the beginning of the movie, like it's today, isn't it? Is him getting out of jail.
Yeah. So they're outside of her dressing room. Florence asks, any word? No word yet. Flo leaves, and then she's doing her makeup, and she looks up, and all of a sudden Nick is standing there. She sees him in the reflection of her vanity mirror,
and she is kind of preparing for him to want to still be together. She tells Ziegfeld, like, if I have to leave show business,
I will do
for
that.
him. I will.
Yeah.
And she hugs him when he arrives, and he doesn't really hug her back.
It's painful.
Yeah.
The whole exchange is very strained. I mean, I think that he does embrace her, but I agree that the affection she's displaying is not reciprocated.
And he kind of pushes her away. He says that he's had 18 months to think about it. And she says...
And then he's thought about it every day. And she says, that's funny because I haven't thought about it a single time.
She says, I've had the same 18 months, but I've never thought about it.
Until today. Yeah. And then she says, when I realized you were right.
Yeah, so she knows.
I mean, do you think that she changed her mind in that moment? Not changed her mind, but do you think she's just putting up a front saying...
Because she was literally just saying that she would leave show business for him.
I know. But I also, I don't know, I kind of believe her.
She might have known in the back of her mind.
Yeah, that's what I think. Because I believe her when she says, until today when I realized.
Yeah.
And I think she didn't want to believe she was right. She didn't want to believe he was right.
Yeah. But this is where her story comes full circle. And because... he wonders what he ever gave her, and she says, well, you gave me the egg. But she also says, but you gave me the gift of making me feel beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is her arc. You know
Absolutely. What I mean? And I mean, it is true when he says you are beautiful. I mean, It's very clear that he believes that when he says it. He really means it. So then I think it's interesting the way the movie ends up. Because she goes out there and she sings this song, My Man.
And
that is about essentially like unrequited love.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's like, are we supposed to be happy for her in this moment? Because I don't know. It feels like we keep going back and forth between like, is she okay or is she not okay? Is she still in love or is she not still? Like, what
I was
is
happy
happening?
for her because... She shouldn't have stayed. I mean, I think, I was happy for her just because it was a good thing that they broke up.
Right. But she was heartbroken.
But it's also a full circle moment because she's singing like an emotional like song without any like comedy to it. And she, you know what I mean?
I just think it's an interesting choice that the ending song was about her being in love with a man that doesn't love her back versus... her being happy with herself or something along those lines.
Or like a doomed relationship or something, you know, rather than him not loving her.
Right. Yeah. Just like something where there's more, fault on the other person. Which is funny
because the musical was originally called My Man.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Which I don't think...
I mean, that's what leads me to question, like, what is the point of this movie? But then I just settle on, well, it's a true story, so there's not really a point. It's just a portrayal of what happened.
Yeah, but I think the point of the movie is sort of her character arc into, like, realizing her self-worth. And I do think that it's important that the last song is, like, whether or not I really... get why the material is what it is, but that it's like a straightforward romantic, song that takes itself seriously rather than, like I said, taking the piss out of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not like her usual comedy thing that, Okay, so she sings My Man, and then the show is over.
Le fin.
Fair. which I write at the end of every one of my recaps.
I know. You've corrected me like 4 times. It's
Finn.
okay. So, did you love the movie?
I actually really did.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And it went by pretty quickly for a 2.5-hour movie.
It mostly did. I think there are some moments that drag a little bit.
But I like that, it moves along, with the time jumps and stuff.
I think there was maybe like one too many scenes of her hesitating and like being too nervous.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I agree.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't crazy about Fanny at the get-go, but I wound up falling in love with her by the end of it.
Yeah.
I find her extremely relatable.
Yeah.
Barbra Streisand is a star.
Obviously, yeah. Her star quality is undeniable. There's a reason why she is regarded the way that she is.
Yes. So I wind up giving this, I don't know, I can't really give it a letter grade because that feels cheap. But I can give it, I want to say 4.5 out of 5.
4.5 fancy egg.
Blue marble eggs. Out of 5 blue marble eggs.
I mean, I think I would probably do about the same, probably like an AA minus. I mean,
yeah,
there wasn't a lot that I disliked about it.
That's probably like 4 blue marble eggs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. 4.4 roller skates.
So, fun tidbits about casting for this movie. There's really only one interesting role when it comes to casting, which is obviously Nick.
Yeah.
I mean, Barbra Streisand's role was not up for debate.
Right.
It was her role. So for Nick, names that were considered basically include every handsome man from the 60s. Mm-hmm. Marlon Brando, Gregory Peck, Sean Connery.
Ryan O'Neal?
No, actually, I did not see his name on the list.
He was in another one of my favorite Barbra Streisand movies called What's Up, Doc?
Okay.
Very good. But he's a piece of shit. But whatever.
Cool. Okay. Well, he wasn't involved in this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Frank Sinatra was considered, and there's 2 stories about how he wound up not getting the role. One story is Barbra Streisand vetoed him because while she respected his acting, she did not like him as a person.
Okay.
The other story is he was only willing to take the role if they agreed to expand it and give him more...
Like songs?
Yeah. So, choose your own adventure.
And he probably would have been a bigger star than her at the time, which she probably didn't like either.
He definitely was. I could see both stories being true at the same time.
Yeah.
Also, though, Ray Stark, the producer, he says that he thought Sinatra was too old. At the time, Sinatra was 50. Barbra Streisand... Well, no, he would have been 50. I think he would have been like 53 by the time the movie came out.
Uh-huh.
But he was in his 50s. Barbra Streisand was 26.
Yeah.
Thing is, Ray Stark said that he would prefer somebody with more class, perhaps like Cary Grant. But Cary Grant would have been old. He was 11 years older than Frank Sinatra, which kind of supports the theory that he was vetoed because people didn't like him.
Yeah. Which, fine.
Yeah, fine, whatever. So Omar Sharif, he was spotted by the director William Wyler in the studio commissary.
Oh.
And he said, that is Nick Arnstein. So he approached him, got him to be in the movie. Shortly after that, I think it was before production began, something known as a conflict known as the 6-Day War broke out between Egypt and Israel. And the studio considered dropping Omar from the movie because he is Egyptian.
Oh.
Right. So Barbra Streisand, who it should be noted Jewish, big supporter of Israel. She threatened to quit. William Wyler, the director, also threatened to quit if they fired Omar. And so
Just
he was
based on
able,
that.
he was able to stay in the movie. Something interesting that happened with the Egyptian government is that even though he is known as basically Egypt's most famous actor, he lived in Cairo most of his life. I think that Omar and Barbara were romantically involved during the filming of this movie.
Which makes sense. They had a lot of chemistry.
They did. So something interesting that wound up happening after this 6-day war is that a photo leaked of him and Barbara. It may have even been from set, but it was of the two of them, embraced in a romantic, way.
Yeah.
And essentially the Egyptian government threatened to revoke his citizenship because Barbra Streisand was Jewish and very outspokenly in favor of Israel.
Yeah.
They did not wind up doing that, as far as I know. I mean, they didn't, because he died in 2015 of, I think it was complications from Alzheimer's.
Oh.
But he had spent his later years in Cairo, and he was laid to rest in Cairo.
Okay.
In a Muslim cemetery, I believe.
So what else did he do in his career?
Oh, he was very well known for a lot of things. He was Dr. Zhivago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for a role in Lawrence of Arabia. Mm-hmm. He did a bunch of other stuff, but I would say those two, and then Funny Girl, are probably his most well-known performances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What else do we got here? Do you want to hear a little bit more about Fanny, the real Fanny Brice's life?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's see. She actually did have a first marriage before Nicky, the real Fanny Brice. But it started in her teens, and it was the local barber named Frank White. But their marriage only lasted 3 years, and they divorced in 1913. So he was her second. So Nicky was her second husband. And like I said, before they got married, he served 14 months in Sing Sing.
Oh, wow.
For wiretapping. And Brice visited him in prison every week. And then in 1918, they were married. This was after they had been together for 6 years. So the timeline is a little...
Wiretapping, though. That's really...
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's very different.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what that means, what that translates to for what he actually did.
I mean, that means you're listening, you're wiretapping a person,
right?
You're listening into their phone or life conversations,
right? But to what end? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that, but doesn't matter to what end.
So they were married in 1918, and then in 1924, this is when he was charged in Wall Street bond theft. So she insisted on his innocence and funded his entire legal defense at great expense. But then he was convicted and sentenced to the federal penitentiary at Leavenworth.
So he wasn't even really that sympathetic of a character in real life.
No.
He also wasn't as handsome. Did you look up a picture of him?
No.
Not even close.
So he actually served 3 years, not 18 months.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess he went to all those old prisons everyone knows about. Sing Sing.
Rikers.
Leavenworth.
I've never heard of Leavenworth.
Oh, okay. So basically when he got out of jail in 1927, he just basically disappeared from her life and their children's lives. They had 2 kids.
What's that one in California?
What one?
The island.
Oh, Alcatraz.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
Anyways.
So he basically disappeared from her life and their kids' lives. And so she reluctantly divorced him in 1927.
Yikes. Nicky Arnstein. Not a charmer IRL.
No.
Bummer.
Nope. What else do we got here?
Such a disappointment.
And it's funny that Ray Stark, who was her, let's see.
Son-in-law.
Oh, yeah. He was her son-in-law, right. But not... Okay, I thought that it was like her... Not her stepson, her son-in-law. I think I misspoke earlier.
It was... So they had a daughter, Frances.
Right, and that...
Frances married Ray Stark.
Right. Okay, yes. She also had aside from her career with Ziegfeld Follies, she also had a career in radio and then eventually in TV. She had a very famous character called Snooks, who was like a bratty little girl.
Okay. Snooks.
And so she had... It was her and another actor who had a character named Daddy. So it was Snooks and Daddy was like her big radio show.
Gross.
And then she was eventually on TV in a big budget, large scale radio variety show called The Big Show. And that premiered in November of 1950. But 6 months after that was when she died of a cerebral hemorrhage at the age of 59.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's young.
I know. And basically just from, I don't know, is a cerebral hemorrhage, is that kind of like a aneurysm or something?
I don't know. I think let's try and guess what a cerebral hemorrhage is. I want to say internal brain bleeding. That's what I want to say.
That you don't know about. Kind of like how that's what happened to Natasha Richardson.
Oh, so sad.
I know. She had a skiing accident and like didn't go to the doctor or something and didn't know she was like bleeding from her brain, like you said. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm cutting all of this.
You are?
I don't want to end the podcast talking about cerebral hemorrhages.
Or baby Dorothy. Sorry.
Right.
So basically she, so then the last episode of the Baby Snooks show was broadcast as a memorial to her.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Baby Snooks made a touching tribute.
That was like what she was most known for as far as people knew back then.
All right, look, I have...
Some recast?
No, I was going to say I have so many, like, fun facts about Barbra Streisand, one being she did, for real, clone her dog.
Oh, so she did clone her dog.
Barbra Streisand, for real, cloned her dog.
Which speaks to her wealth. I mean, she's probably was, to a certain point known as, like, one of the most successful women in the entertainment industry.
Sure, but most people still don't clone their dogs.
Right. I want to know how much it cost.
Oh God, I bet
Millions.
She doesn't even know.
Right.
I did read, I couldn't confirm this, but I read that Barbra Streisand's biographer, Ann Edwards, actually wrote the first half of the screenplay, but is uncredited.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I just wonder, is that how they got connected? Is that how she wound up getting the biography?
Yeah.
I don't know. Omar Sharif, he is of Lebanese and Syrian descent. Like I said, he lived in Cairo most of his life. Mm-hmm. Spent his later years there, is buried there. He speaks 5 languages.
Oh.
And he graduated from Cairo University in 1963 with a joint degree in mathematics and physics.
Wow.
So he is not just a pretty face.
Was that his bachelor's?
Yes, it was.
So he was young.
He was
depending on how
36 when the movie came out. She was 26.
Yeah. Okay, so he took his time getting his degrees.
I suppose so.
That was 5 years prior to the movie. Then he would have been 31 when he finished.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
okay, sure.
Take your time.
Yeah, whatever.
He
was probably modeling.
Probably.
Barbra is an EGOT winner, although only technically.
Why?
Because her Tony Award was non-competitive.
Oh, it was like an Lifetime Achievement
Award.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she didn't wind up winning for Funny Girl at the Tonys.
Who are all the EGOTs? Whoopi, right?
Also, I think hers is a technicality. Or no, it's not a technicality. It's that she has a daytime. It's a daytime Emmy.
A daytime Emmy and a comedy album.
Well, that doesn't. No, comedy album counts.
Yeah.
But daytime Emmy. I don't know. But another interesting fact about awards. So with the Academy Awards, Barbra did win for Best Actress.
Yeah.
But she tied with Katharine Hepburn. So this was Katharine Hepburn's second win in a row. People did not expect that to happen. She didn't attend the ceremony. She never attended the ceremony.
Oh.
That was like a thing. She always said, like, my prize is my work.
Oh, my God.
I know. So, but she still winds up co-winning.
Has that ever happened before?
Yeah. But it had been a long time. Like, it was a big surprise when this happened. And I will say, I watched the award, like a clip on YouTube, and the audience erupted when they announced Barbra Streisand's name second.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't think it's that people were, like, not excited for Katharine Hepburn, but Ingrid Bergman was... Bergman?
Yeah.
Bergman, yeah. She was presenting, and she... was caught off guard.
Yeah.
It was like a La La Land moment.
holding up the card.
No, it wasn't that bad because she at least announced the right winners.
Right.
So, yeah, they won together. Katharine Hepburn had the movie director accept on her behalf. So Barbra wound up sort of getting the whole spotlight. He didn't say much. He just said thank you and then backed off. And then she began her acceptance speech with, "Hello, gorgeous."
Oh.
Yeah, which is cute. Also, she was wearing an outfit that's pretty reminiscent of the outfits she wore in the movie. It was a sheer, loose, flowy pantsuit type of thing.
Yeah.
She had like a sailor collar or a Peter Pan, not Peter Pan, but it was like a big boat collar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was a sheer top. It was see-through.
Oh, I remember this. Yes, I think I remember this
black
outfit.
sheer.
And it was pants. Yeah.
Yeah. And I still think fairly modern looking for the time.
Yeah.
For 1969. Essentially.
Has there been a tie since then?
Not that I can think of.
I can't even.
Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a possibility.
So also that year, not only was it just a tie, but Katharine Hepburn wound up that year breaking the record for most nominations. For Best Actress. Meryl Streep has since broken that record. So
Doesn't
Katharine
she have like
Hepburn,
21 or something?
Meryl Streep has 17 Best Actress and 4 Best Supporting.
I was right, 21.
Yes. Katharine Hepburn has 12 Best Actress. I think 0 Best Supporting. They're all Best Actress.
Yeah.
But Katharine Hepburn has the most wins. And she still has the most wins of any actor.
Really?
At 4. Yeah.
Oh, 4 is the most anyone's ever won?
That's the most.
Wow.
Yeah. For acting.
Yeah.
Now, there's other people who have maybe won for acting and directing and
probably
beat out 4.
One of them is stupid Ben Affleck.
Probably. Actually, I think he's only got 2 for Argo and Good Will Hunting.
Didn't he do The Town?
I don't think that won.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it did. I doubt it. But no.
It's stupid how many Oscar nominations he's had. Anyway, go on.
I mean, like, Argo was a good movie.
I don't know. I never saw it.
Okay, well, it was good. He's
Maybe-
not that bad.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like, he was just
I'll
really
also-
sad for a while.
My favorite part of lockdown and the pandemic was all the paparazzi shots of, like, every day there was a paparazzi shot of
like
him picking
sad
up.
Ben Affleck
No, but of him specifically
getting Dunkin'.
getting the Dunkin',
Because he's a real Bostonian.
picking up his Dunkin' Postmates delivery.
Listen, I feel like Ben
And, like,
Affleck is
almost
the
dropping
new
it.
Matt Damon, and then he's like the new relatable, likable guy. And Matt Damon kind of sucks now.
I mean, he's back with J-Lo.
I know.
Full circle.
Full circle. I'm into the new, like...
The new Bennifer.
Yes, I'm into it. I
Bennifer
really am.
2.0.
Yep. Anyways.
I only have a couple of suggestions for recast. I know they're doing a Broadway revival, right? It's not the movie.
Yeah, so it's very dramatic, but Leah Michele will never be Fanny Bryce.
If my life depends on it, Leah Michele will never play Fanny Bryce.
Listen, it's I feel for her. I do. I feel for
I
her.
don't really, because there's so many horrible stories about how awful she is.
I assume they're all true, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that she's Jonathan Groff's BFF, and I love Jonathan Groff.
I do love Jonathan Groff.
Right?
Yeah. So basically,
I trust his judgment.
There is a Broadway revival coming out that Beanie
Feldstein, who is Jonah Hill's sister.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
It's true.
And, she's had a lot of,
She was in Hello, Dolly.
She was in Hello, Dolly. I mean,
which
recently she
also
was in...
starred Barbra Streisand.
So as far as a movie, I mean, she could do it, but I had an idea because I know she can kind of sing and she has a band, but I don't know if she has a good enough voice.
I don't think she can just kind of sing.
No, I'm talking about my idea for the movie.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, dude.
I don't know if she can do it. I don't know if she can do it vocally, but I love Alison Brie, and she's Jewish.
Oh, I love Alison Brie, but she's super pretty, and no one would ever believe her as, like, quote unquote funny girl.
But that's kind of her
she
role.
Was horse girl.
That's kind of her role in Glow, is to be like the funny, not sexy one.
They really go to extremes to make her look quote unquote not pretty, and all they do is like not put any makeup on her.
It's obvious that she's very, very beautiful.
She's very pretty.
But my idea for Nicky was just was Oscar Isaac.
Oh, yeah. No, he does slightly resemble Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
For sure. Oscar Isaac is definitely in his late 40s, early 50s,
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
So I think maybe in my book, I would say he's aged out.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it depends on
I see it.
It depends on who plays Fanny, but
yeah.
no matter what, she's supposed to kind of start out as a teen.
I think if we're going to have her start off at least with the level of an experience that she needs to be believable as a 20-something,
Yeah.
I think 30s is pushing it. And then if it's a 50-something with a 30 or 20-something, I'm sort of like, ew.
Yeah. Did you have any ideas?
Oh, no. I mean, I think literally any handsome man
Yeah.
could be Nick.
I mean, you're right. That's true. That was really my only idea, just because they resemble each other.
Yeah, and then I really struggled to think of a girl in, popular culture today that I think has a unique enough look to be
Both
Fanny Bryce.
Both beautiful and unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There aren't any that I don't know. There's none that come to mind for me.
Yeah. I mean, I Googled Jewish actresses, and Alison Brie was my choice. Anyway, that's about it.
All right. Our Instagram, where you can find more fun facts about Fanny Bryce and Omar Sharif and Barbra Streisand and Nicky Arnstein, etc., etc.
We'll post some stuff.
At The Hills Are Alive Pod. Once again, I am Kelsey.
I'm Alex. Thanks as always.
And
as always, till we own this town.
We'll be back next month with the 1970s edition, which is The Wiz.
The Wiz.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
I am too.
So we'll see you next time, you guys. Bye, guys. Welcome to my channel. This is my new lip kit. I think you're really going to love it.
Okay, bye. What was that about your lip kit?
I don't know. Thank you for visiting my channel.
Oh, Alex, you gotta get off TikTok.
That's a YouTube thing.